Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to Wanna Fight NATO, 10 reasons you shouldn't mess with, I guess, NATO. But the way this channel titles videos is very strange, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, we're gonna just, I guess, see this video. Obviously, it's probably quite similar to a lot of, like, there's a similar one that this channel done about wanting to fight the US. And I guess it is just that, but then you've also got the rest of NATO, which obviously the military combined, let's just say the US alone, and then all of NATO together, it's probably quite similar. I'd say the US still probably has more power, but then you combine the two again, and yeah, it's pretty interesting how much power you'd really have. But yeah, we're gonna check this out and see who are the most powerful. So for NATO, obviously the US, maybe the most powerful militaries. Wow. In NATO. So obviously you got the US, France. So the strongest NATO is in, obviously the US has the largest number of, this is just personnel. The country with the second largest, oh, Turkey with the second largest number of people. What are the top 5 strongest countries in NATO? He's probably going to mention this, but I'm just looking at this briefly just to, if he wants to load, for starters. So the United States, Turkey, France, Germany, Italy, United Kingdom, Greece, and Spain. So I would obviously say, yeah, and I know a few of these are quite powerful. So I don't know where, like, even someone like Spain, where do they rank in the worldwide sort of strongest militaries? They're probably, what, top 50? Maybe? I don't actually know, but I'm assuming that's the case. Greece also is really high, but yeah, anyway, this is a long intro. Let's get into this video. Hopefully going to enjoy. Links are in the description to my Patreon if you want to see some more of my reactions. Recently reacted to Black Hawk Down on Netflix, and I obviously can't post it to YouTube. I might try and cut it up and sort of make it a short form video that I can post to YouTube, but obviously the full movie reaction is on the Patreon, and I'm looking to do more military and movie reactions as well. So if you want to see some of those, links will be in the description to my Patreon. But let's jump into this and see why you shouldn't mess with NATO.
For 7 decades, the NATO alliance has practiced collective defense and deterrence against evolving international threats. And over the years, its capabilities have changed accordingly. NATO's most powerful weapon, according to Jim Townsend with the Center for a New American Security, is the unity of the alliance. But the individual allies also possess hard-hitting capabilities that could be called upon were it to face high-level aggression. Here are some highlights of the many powerful weapons NATO could bring to bear against Russia.
Fucking hell. Yeah, because what I'm thinking, right, is obviously the US excels in a lot of aspects, but is there any countries in NATO that do excel in other ways that maybe the US don't focus on as much because they've got the allies? Like, say the US, obviously they are all well-rounded in everything, but like their navy, for example, is so insanely strong. And then maybe Germany, because it's closer to certain things that NATO fight against, I guess, or whatever. So it's like got a closer location to Russia, or is it closer to China? Probably not. But yeah, stuff like that. And maybe they'll excel in certain areas because then when you combine the two, it just works better like that. I'm not too sure, but I assume certain parts of NATO will excel in other aspects and sort of help when you then combine that to make this all well-rounded powerhouse, you know?
F-35 Lightning II. The air side of the NATO equation is led by the United States with the F-35 and other various aircraft.
Good goal.
The 5th generation F-35 Joint Strike Fighter is an aircraft that rival powers have been unable to match its stealth and advanced suite of powerful sensors. While some NATO countries are looking at the F-35 as a leap in combat capability, others can...
Mate, it is one beautiful plane, I'm not gonna lie. It's so aesthetically pleasing. It just looks like such a bad boy.
Others continue to rely on the F-16, an older supersonic fighter that can dogfight and also bomb ground targets. And then some countries like Germany are considering European alternatives. Eurofighter Typhoons. The Eurofighter Typhoon is a capable multi-role aircraft designed by a handful of NATO countries, namely the United Kingdom, Germany, Italy, and Spain, determined to field.
Doesn't look as aesthetically pleasing, but you can also see a lot of like missiles on the side and stuff.
An elite air superiority fighter. France, which walked away from the Eurofighter project, independently built a similar fighter known as the Dassault Rafale. Observers argue that the Typhoon is comparable to late-generation Russian flanker variants such as the Su-35.
See, I like the look of this one. I saw it in another video, and I think it does look cool, but I don't know how old it is.
While each aircraft has its advantages, be it the agility of the Typhoon or the low-speed handling of the flanker, the two aircraft are quite similar, suggesting, as the national interest explained, that the Eurofighter could hold its own in a dogfight with the deadly Russian fighter.
Fair enough. Look at that. Oh my god. What the that is ridiculous.
Bombers. The U.S. provides conventional and nuclear deterrence capabilities throughout the regular rotation of bomber aircraft into the European area of operations. American bombers have been routinely rotating.
Mate, imagine this. You're just one of the soldiers on the floor and you see this flying past you. I can't imagine how scared you would be. But you've got this shadow. I mean, again, I can't go over how sick this looks in the sky. It looks so cool. I'm not going to lie. And scary at the same time. But then you got this as well. And then, yeah, you'd be shitting yourself.
Into the area since Russia annexed Crimea in 2014, according to military.com. That year, the Pentagon sent 2 B-2 Spirit bombers and 3 B-52s to Europe for training. The B-1B Lancers are also among the U.S. bombers that regularly operate alongside NATO allies. P-8A Poseidon. There's also the maritime posture, particularly as Russia continues to rely on a submarine nuclear deterrent. We need a stronger presence. That's why we're seeing Norway, the U.S., UK do more with the P-8As. Heather Conley, the Center for Strategic and International Studies expert.
Oh my
Facing
God.
emerging threats in the undersea domain, where the margins to victory are said to be razor thin, NATO allies are increasingly boosting their ability to hunt and track enemy submarines from above and
Is that real footage? It looks cartoonish, but I think it is real.
below the water. While there are a number of options available for this task, the U.S. Navy P-8A Poseidon patrol plane, which was brought in to replace the U.S. military's older P-3 Orions, are among the best submarine hunters out there. Frigates. Another effective anti-submarine capability is that provided by the various frigates operated by a number of NATO countries. The NATO allies, in particular Italy, France, and Spain, all have frigates that have very capable anti-submarine warfare systems. Brian Clark, the Center for Strategic and Budgetary Assessments. They have active low-frequency sonars that are variable depth sonars. They can find submarines easily, and they're very good against diesel submarines. These forces could be used to target Russian submarines in the eastern Mediterranean and into the Black Sea. Norway and Denmark also have really good frigates, he explained. They can go out and do anti-submarine warfare in the North Sea/Baltic Sea area, and they're very good at that. Nimitz-class aircraft carriers.
I mean, the US alone has more than the rest of the world combined. And then you got a few more from the UK and France. And yeah, you're living good because you probably got some of the best aircraft carriers. And you got Russia to have one, China have a few, and I think they're building more. But other than that, I can't really think of other countries that have many.
A last-minute addition to last year's Trident Juncture exercise, massive NATO war games designed to simulate a large-scale conflict with Russia, was the USS Harry S. Truman, a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier, and its accompanying strike group. The carrier brought 6,000 service members and a large carrier air wing of FA-18 Super Hornets to Norway for the largest drill in years. One thing the NATO naval partners have been looking at is using carriers as part of the initial response, said Brian Clark. The United States sails carriers into the North Atlantic to demonstrate to Russia that the U.S. can send carriers into this area, from which it could carry out operations into the Baltics without too much trouble, he added. America's ability to project power throughout the deployment of aircraft carriers is unmatched, due mainly to the massive size, sophistication, and training regimen of its carrier fleet. The UK and France also have aircraft carriers. Virginia-class submarines. Virginia-class submarines, nuclear-powered fast attack boats, are among the deadliest submarines in the world. They're armed with torpedoes to sink enemy submarines and surface combatants, and they can also target enemy bases and missile batteries ashore with Tomahawk cruise missiles.
Whenever I see missiles shot out of the water, it blows my mind.
These submarines could be really useful to do cruise missile attacks against some of the Russian air defense systems in the Western Military District that reach over the Baltic countries, said Brian Clark. You can really conduct air operations above these countries without being threatened by these air defense systems. So you would want to use cruise missiles to attack them from submarines at sea. Patriot Surface-to-Air Missile System. Patriot, which stands for Phased Array Tracking Radar to Intercept on Target, is an effective surface-to-air guided air and missile defense system that's currently used around the world, including in a number of NATO countries. There is a need for an integrated air and missile defense picture, said Conley. That's certainly a high-valued protection for the alliance.
Look at the
NATO
speed.
is also in the process of fielding Aegis A-shore sites, land-based variants of the sea-based Aegis ballistic missile defense system that can track and fire missiles that intercept ballistic targets over Europe. AH-64 Apache gunship. The Apache gunship helicopter, capable of close air support, has the ability to rain down devastation on an approaching armor column. The attack helicopters can carry up
The view from the inside the Apache is wild.
down devastation on an approaching
Look at that, bro. It looks so weird from that point of view.
armor column. The attack helicopters can carry up to 16 Hellfire missiles at a time, with each missile possessing the ability to cripple an enemy
Oh my god. Look at that, man.
armor unit. The Hellfire is expected to eventually be replaced with the more capable Joint Air-to-Ground missile. The Cold War-era Apache attack helicopters have been playing a role in the counterinsurgency fight in the Middle East, but the gunships could still hit hard in a high-end conflict.
Look at that monster.
Leopard 2 tank.
See, I've not really done many reactions to tanks, and the thing is, I feel like tanks are one of those things that's not dying out, but they're sort of slowly becoming a bit of a weakness. Like, obviously, they have advantages and stuff, but with all the tank missiles now, it's like they're vulnerable and you can't really protect them. So I don't really do reactions to tanks anymore, but I guess they still have some kind of importance. Well, obviously, they will do. I mean, I'm assuming they're still safer than walking. Like, say, like, sort of, you have to get from one area to another. You're safer in a tank than walking. But even then, maybe that's not the case. I don't know, because it's a much bigger target, and the missile is just going to directly hit where it needs to hit. But hey, the Leopard 2 tank, I know nothing about this.
The Leopard 2 main battle tank, which gained a reputation for being indestructible, is a formidable weapon first built to blunt the spearhead of a Soviet armor thrust, and one that would probably be on the front lines were the NATO alliance and Russia to come to blows. While this tank, a key component of NATO's armored forces, took an unexpected beating in the fight against the Islamic State in Syria, it's still considered one of the alliance's top tanks, on par with the US M1 Abrams and the British Challenger 2. Observers suspect that the Leopard 2, like its US and British counterparts, would be easily able to destroy most Russian tanks, as these tanks are likely to get the jump on a Russian tank in a shootout.
Oh my god. The power in that. Imagine how loud that is. Actually, I guess the sound doesn't really come inside, does it? You don't really hear it when you're in it. I mean, you will hear it, but I guess all the sound is coming from outside the tank. God damn. Why you shouldn't mess with NATO? Well, damn. There's a lot of factors going into this, but I knew the comments were going to be funny for this. Okay, you guys have changed my mind. I no longer want to fight NATO. Great video. I was going to start war with NATO, but putting whoopee cushions in the jet seats, but will now not mess, as the title suggested. Yeah, the titles from this channel are funny, man, but hey, it gets them the views. Basically, every weapon, because they work and get maintained. Yeah, and I done a reaction earlier, and what I gather is Russia don't really maintain a lot of things as well. There's no doubting that they have a lot of power, but They just don't really look after their things, or they didn't at least. Maybe they do now. I'm not too sure, but yeah, it's interesting to look. I guess it's quite nice to know that all these countries do have some sort of written contracts or whatever it is, agreements where if one of them gets attacked, they're all going to protect. But I also do worry that that's just going to lead to something like a whole lot worse, because Russia, obviously, with their nuclear weapons and stuff, I feel like if they were just, because they know they're not going to beat NATO, right? But if they're sort of, what is the word, like backed into a corner, and they just, for like last resort, I feel like they would just send off loads of nuclear weapons, and I don't want that to happen. So as much as it is cool to see all this power, I feel like it hopefully will never have to be fully used in terms of like for nuclear wars and stuff, because that would be scary and would probably all not be here for long. But yeah, this is an interesting reaction. Hopefully you enjoyed. And yeah, if you want to see some more reactions like this, let me know in the comments, or see some more of my videos. And yeah, until next time, like, subscribe, and peace.